This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
Welcome into this edition of Hoops on the Sports Source Digital Network. If you like content like we're about to give you here, be sure to click that like button. That helps other Tennessee fans know that this channel is here. And with the rate we're growing, you've done a lot of that, and we certainly appreciate it. You can also hit subscribe. That way you'll know whenever we're pumping up new content here on the Sports Source Digital Network. I am joined, John Pennington here, joined by Will West right there. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Tennessee basketball rebuild because Rick Barnes, with the exception of 4 guys, was basically having to rebuild his whole roster. That is starting to piece together. We are taping this on Tuesday afternoon, so if they've added, say, Duke Miles, the Oklahoma kid, or if they've added someone else by the time you see this on Wednesday afternoon, that's why we're not talking about that guy. But overall, the signing of Nate Ament, I've heard Ament, I've heard Ament, going Nate Ament. The signing of this guy, best recruit ever. Now this is, they didn't have the star ratings for Bernard King.
Yeah.
But best ever for the University of Tennessee. Your thoughts on this get? Just this get. He's the number 4 player in the country. He's the best available high school player in the country. He's a one-and-done guy. Your thoughts on Rick Barnes and Tennessee landing him?
It's going to be interesting to see how Barnes uses him because he's going to have to evolve.
Come on, give me the praise for Barnes first. Nice.
Just
say wow, it's a hell of a thing.
It is a heck of a thing.
You just went straight into let's see how they use it.
Well, that's my thought of it. Is the first thing I thought was how are you going to use him?
Right.
But what it tells me is Rick Barnes is trying to evolve, and he's sold an evolved offense to Ament and his family. The NIL collective and the boosters ponied up enough money to be able to keep him from Duke, from Kentucky, because the money absolutely plays a part in it. So
Certainly.
Tennessee at least had to be in the conversation with them. So I'll tip the cap to maybe
they had to spend big money on Gillespie,
They
too.
did.
So that's 2 basketballers that we know they threw. I don't know what they had to pay Carey.
Yeah.
But the other 2 guys got some dollars.
Yeah, they did. So I think this is Tennessee evolving in the basketball game and trying to stay a blue blood, which I like to see that, and I think fans want to see that.
Now, immediately go into here's the problem. Here's the problem with this tremendous player you just signed.
Look,
I got 2 Willie Rain Clouds.
He's a power forward that's a face-up player that wants to play 23 feet from the rim, 17 to 23 feet from the rim. I'm in favor of that. I think Barnes needs to transition to that. We saw Tennessee in the non-conference season play like that. Then you get to conference play, and again, it's kind of like whenever you get a new car. I'm going to keep this car clean. 3 months later, that car has the same McDonald's bags in the back seat. Yeah. That's what I felt like happened a little bit with Rick Barnes, but they did deal with injuries, and I understand the idea of wanting to slow it down. But this, to me, says he at least wants to, when he's thinking about it, I know I need to evolve who I am offensively, and bringing in a guy like Ament, I think, is evidence of that.
I think he also he made a tweak 2 years ago when he had Dalton Knecht. And he stuck with it, too. So he is evolving, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe when the chips are down and things go sideways, he reverts back to what he likes to do. But let me put on screen here one of the comments from Nate Ament talking about signing with Tennessee. He says, Rick Barnes wants me to come in and take what's mine. He wants me to be Naismith Player of the Year and all that. He's done it before with Kevin Durant, and he's had Chaz, Lanier, and Dalton Knecht, so just tremendous success with individual players. That's what he's preaching to me, so it's very tempting. It's an interesting view into the sales pitch. Individual players, because all we ever hear about Rick Barnes is the culture and the teamwork and the defense, and this is, I want you to come in and get yours, look at the stars I've had. Which, of course, I'm not surprised if you're trying to recruit one of these guys, that's what you tell him, we're going to get all this for you. But I thought that was an interesting insight, because that is not team, defense, culture. That's, what he does with the individuals is spectacular.
It's smart, actually, at the same time, and Rick Barnes doing that, because a lot of times it's, hey, you're going to be Coach Hart, and this is what we're going to do, and you're going to go to church, and we're going to play defense, and those two, maybe defense at church, depending on who's around the communion table. Right. So, this is, to me, again, Rick Barnes wants to evolve. Can he help himself at the end of the day? When that offense and that evolved offense hurts his defense, because it's going to, will he continue to allow Nate Ament to be Kevin Durant 2.0? If he does, this could be a fantastic pickup for Tennessee. If not, maybe this is Scotty Hobson 2.0, and he's averaging 9 points a game when he's back next year.
Hold up your plan here. This is what you view as the starting 5 as it stands right now. And again, I mentioned earlier that Duke Miles is he's a shooting guard who's looking at visiting Tennessee this week from Oklahoma. Possible. There are other possible guys they could bring in, of course. But Gillespie, Boswell, Ament, Carey, Okpara. The interesting thing, when they got Carey, it's like, all right, what does this tell us about the offense? You're going awfully. I mean, that's two big guys. And you also bring Estrella into this mix again. So you got some bigs this year, and everybody else is playing 5-out basketball. 3 out, 2 in is kind of what that's looking like.
And that's taking a power forward and making him play out to be able to get to that point. I don't hate it. It's a little bit old school as far as the setup is concerned, but I think if you get initiated your offense quickly and you allow Ament to handle the ball in the half court, I think it takes something off of Gillespie. I think it allows Boswell to grow at the rate he probably needs to grow right now because he's not a guy that's going to play in the NBA next year. And it also grows Ament's game. I think this can work, but 3 out, 2 in, and you won't live there. But going 3 out, 2 in, I think is pretty interesting. We saw it be effective for Houston last year.
I started to say, if you've got the guys to do it,
why not? Yeah, well, it's also something other people aren't doing. Yeah. You still need to go get points, right? Points are still king. You still need to get after it and initiate your offense quickly. But I don't hate the idea of doing this, especially with the players that they have, because Okpara can play, Carey ain't bad, Estrella can play. I feel pretty good about what you have, and if you have to bump Ament down into the block, especially on the defensive side, to me, and I feel like he can guard guys on the perimeter as well. I feel pretty good about where Tennessee is next year.
Here's a description, just one description. I'll just read it to you very quickly. One description I read of Ament. NBA scouts are enamored with the upside and talent that he possesses at 6'10". I've seen him listed 6'9", 6'10", with guard skills and the ability to defend all over the floor. Fluid getting to spots. With the diverse shot-making prowess, Ament has improved his ball handling, passing, physicality, intensity. He's a legit lottery expectation guy. There's not much he can't do. If you need him to be big, he plays big. If you need him to be small, he plays small. The issue, they say, in terms of getting it, he can go rebound, but that's the high school level. Get him in the SEC with a bunch of good teams. He's wiry. He's a freshman. He's not big. He's going to have to put on as much pounds as he can before October and November get here. But that's the only drawback to this guy is everybody says he needs to be stronger, which I would expect coming out of high school for most 18-year-olds. Yeah, you're going to need to put on some weight. But everything else, in terms of a complete package, and every school does this, and we do it here at Tennessee about everybody when they get here, but national guys seem to think this dude, complete package. Whatever you need him to do, he can fit in and get it done.
How often will Rick Barnes, because he allowed Dalton Knecht to work on the ball a lot.
Yeah.
He did not allow Chaz Lanier as much to work with the ball in his hands. Will he allow Ament to be able to have the ball in his hands? Because at 6'10", face-up player like that is going to expect to have the ball in his hands to initiate offense, take guys in isolation. Yeah. Will Barnes let him do that? That's going to be a big question for me. And I think if he can, this can be very successful. But I don't know if he's the guy you want setting screens so that you can get Gillespie open or Boswell open for the a 20-foot jumper.
Yeah. And this has been a team that's fired up a lot of threes the last couple of years when they weren't tremendous shooting.
Yeah.
They weren't bad, but we showed it toward the end of the year. We said this could be a difference in the Houston-Tennessee game, and that is you scored more points from three on the season than they did, but you took a hell of a lot more threes than they did.
Yep.
They were much more effective three-point shooters than Tennessee was. I still have questions about this team's shooting from the outside.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to be able to space the floor.
Yeah.
If you're going 3 out, 2 in, you need 2 guys who could space the floor. And so Ament has to be that, Boswell has to be that, Gillespie has to at least be able to have the danger and keep the fear in the minds of the opponents that he can knock down the 3. And if you can do that, 3 out, 2 in works to me.
Very good. Let's take a look at the roster. We'll put this on the screen right now. Just overall, you've got, and this is broken down, you can put Ament in a couple of different places, but you've got 3 centers, if you will, in Estrella, Okpara, and then Dwayne Brown. The guys who are in the red parentheses, those are freshmen. And then the guys with the asterisk beside them, Carey and Gillespie, those are transfers. Carey from Vanderbilt, Gillespie from Maryland, of course. But Ament, freshman, Evans, freshman, Brown, freshman, and Henderson is the 3-star point guard that sort of has the Zakai Zeigler starter story where they ran into him at a tournament and liked him and brought him in. We'll see if he develops into the all-timer that Zakai Zeigler was. But depth. Obviously, they're still trying to add one more piece. In terms of the rotation that Barnes usually plays, you're kind of there at this point. You're maybe one player away. I don't see many more being added.
No, as far as warm bodies, you have them, right? The problem is you don't have wings.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you need. Now, you're probably going to move Ament over to a wing And then you'll have Carey and Phillips.
He can play power forward. He can play wing. He can play
You're going to move him to wing. Is he ready for that? We'll see, right? He's going to have to play again 23, 25 feet away from the rim with the ball in his hands.
Right.
Is a freshman ready to do that? Because Asa Newell, I thought, wasn't necessarily at Georgia last year at times. But if you can add one more wing, even though you have the numbers, this is going to be deeper than, again, even Florida, as deep as they were, only ran 8 guys in their rotation in the tournament. So this is as deep of a team as we've seen Rick Barnes have. And if you add one more wing to that, man, you feel really good about any possibility of the injury bug like what happened last year or whatever with Darlington DeBar. One guy doesn't pan out.
I always find it a little silly, and I'm going to get your take on it, and you're going to tell me, yes, it's fantastic. But I'm the guy who just looks at it and goes, we don't know. I look at these teams like, everybody knew Dalton Knecht would be great. No, we didn't. We didn't have any idea.
I thought he would be very good. I didn't know he'd beat that.
Right. He was spectacular. And everybody thought, well, Chaz Lanier will just be another Dalton Knecht.
And
he was really good, but he was not Knecht.
Yeah.
So the idea that everybody thought Darlington DeBar was going to be spectacular.
I thought he'd have been the best player they brought in last year.
So you just never know, and you also don't know how this stuff's going to mesh. It's one of the reasons I hate this era of the portal where you're just throwing a team together every year, it's like literally standing out on a concrete court. Hey, you want to come play?
You're picking teams, right? That's what's happening.
Yeah, your shirts, your skins. I don't like it because it is a dice roll that these guys are all going to mesh. Now, what we've seen, though, the last couple of years, you've been to the Elite Eight twice building teams like this, grabbing guys, putting in the portal. So I believe in Rick Barnes, but I'm just not sure, and I would say this for any coach in the country, I'm just not sure how this stuff meshes. Kansas last year.
Arkansas last year.
Both of them supposed to be, and Arkansas, now they wound up turning it around, but it was a slow start. But Kansas was supposed to be
the number one team in the nation.
And it just never meshed.
Gonzaga last year.
Now, Rakis Passmore is another guy from Kansas who I believe either visited or was coming in to visit, so that's another possibility in terms of the Tennessee roster. I knew I was forgetting somebody. But your view, you like this?
I like this. You need one more guy. I'd like to have an 8-man rotation because my concern is if you're running 7 guys, what you don't want is Rick Barnes to get kind of rope-a-doped into, well, let's start winning games in the 60s and let's, you know what I mean? And let's slow this down.
To get him out of that range.
It's going to be very hard. But so I would want an 8-man rotation. I would want one more wing just in case Ament not ready, especially early on in the season. I would want one more guy with some experience and let Ament be the depth piece as opposed to having to be the star power immediately.
Very good. Will West, thanks for coming in here. Folks, again, if you like content like this, like we're putting on this channel, football, basketball, baseball, Lady Vols, whatever, then hit the like button. That helps other Tennessee fans around the world figure out that this channel is here, and also hit subscribe. And if you disagree with what we're saying, if you think, no, they've got enough guys, or yes, this is perfect, tell us in the comment section. We don't mind. We got thick skin. We got a lot of people that hate us.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead. You can jump in. That's fine. Or if you like us, Mom, Dad, you can leave a comment there too. Thanks for watching.